Hi, my name's Lynn, and I wanted to take a moment just to tell you about my amazing dad. And I've actually got two amazing dads now, but one of them wasn't so amazing to start with, and my dad, when I was growing up, my dad and my grandfather both abused me physically, and so I grew up quite messed up from that. And many years ago, I used to hope that they would go to hell and hope that they would rot there forever in my unforgiveness and my hurt. But God did some amazing things in my life, and he began to heal all those hurts. And my dad died about 15 years ago, and I always thought that he never knew Jesus before he died, which was really sad for me because I'd wanted Dad to know Jesus, but it appeared he never did. And I was in a worship time just a couple of years ago when I had this encounter with Jesus in the heavenly realms, and I was taken to this room in heaven with Jesus, and he was standing beside me, and there were a whole pile of other people in the room. And when I looked around, the first person I saw was my father, my earthly dad, which really surprised me. But yet at the same time, because of all the healing that God had done in my life, was this incredible joy at seeing my dad there. But my mind was like, is this really real? Is this really happening? Or is this really God? Or is this something that the devil is doing to try and distract me and stuff like that? And so I was a little bit confused. But I looked at Jesus, and he was smiling, and he had this big goofy grin all over his face. And he looked at me and he said, "Yeah, he's here. You can go and talk to him." And I was a bit nervous about that because I've been, told you don't talk to dead people. But yet, the amazing thing was my dad wasn't dead. He was more alive than he had ever been, ever, even when he was alive. But I went over to him and I gave him in this vision, gave him this great big hug, and he hugged me, and then he put his hands on my shoulders and he pushed me backwards a little bit, and he looked me in the eye and he said, "Lynn, will you forgive me for what I did?" And as you can imagine, I got very emotional, and it was like, "But Dad, I've already forgiven you." And he said, "Yeah, I know you have, but I need to ask." And I thought, oh my goodness, this is justice. This is true justice. Because true justice isn't about the bad guys paying for your sin or the things that they do to us. True justice is a relationship being restored to back as if it had never been broken. And that's what God was doing in that moment. And I asked Dad in this vision, "How did you get to be here in heaven?" And he told me about a couple of weeks before he died, he called a priest and got his life right with God. And I thought, well, I'm going to go and confirm that. So I did. I talked to my brother afterwards, and I said, "Do you know anything about Dad receiving Jesus?" And he said, "Yeah, a couple of weeks before he died, he called for a priest and got his life right with God." And I thought, oh my goodness, all these years I've never known that. But the amazing thing was that it wasn't that God did a healing in my life at that point, because he had already done the healing. The amazing thing was that God cared enough about me to give me this treat, this beautiful gift from himself. And he also taught me something. He taught me that no matter where you are in life, no matter how bad things have been for you, there's hope. And that your prayers make a difference. And in that same encounter, and I won't go into the details of this, but I saw my granddad there. And he said something which really impacted me. He said a few moments before he died, he thought, "I wonder if what Lynn told me was true." And so he asked Jesus to forgive him. And God really used that to tell me that no matter what our circumstances look like, no matter what our families look like, that God's promise is greater than their unbelief, and that his love can reach right at the very last moment. So I want to encourage you, don't give up hope. Don't give up hope that your family can know the ultimate reconciliation, no matter how broken it's been. And the thing I love is that I'm going to spend eternity now getting to know my dad and my granddad without their brokenness. And that's precious. That's real justice. That's real restoration. So I just want to encourage you with that. I know some of you will find it a little bit hard to believe what you've just heard, but the impact that it's had on my life is absolutely real and absolutely undeniable. And you know, God cares enough about you too, to show you how much he loves you. And so just ask him. Just say, Daddy, because that's my other daddy. God is my daddy. And for me growing up, I knew what fathers were like, and they weren't nice. But now I have two daddies that are absolutely pure and clean, and I'll know both of them for eternity. But your daddy, God loves you so much that he wants to show you. So just ask him to. Say, Daddy, will you show me how much you love me? And he'll do that for you. So bless you guys. Just keep believing that God knows what he's doing in your lives, and he will take those things which the enemy meant for bad, and he will absolutely turn them around and make them an absolute joy to you.